There is a new Forsaken mission target out this month, and I'm going to take my ARK battlecruiser fleet into the target and see if it's worth hitting. Hey everyone, Derpy here, back with another Battle Pirates video. First things first with this target, with my ARK battle carriers, by the way, I'll show you the updated build after the target. There is a fixed entry point in the south side, making it seem like this would be a good target to auto. To go ahead and get started, I'm just going to go off and pick out some of these turret clusters. It doesn't really matter where you start this target, it's roughly symmetrical left-right. I prefer going to the right side a little bit earlier because it means you don't have to deal with these ships. Now just to get started here, I'm going to engage the mortar cluster first of all. Nothing in this initial cluster right here should be hurting me. I can outrange everything except the mortars, which are either countermeasure or just the slow effect. Next up, we do have this Archimedes missile, which is going to damage you, although you can mitigate its effect by using high evade as well as one countermeasure in the target. And that should take out that other turret fine, so you don't need to worry about that. The next issue here is this short-range Vulcan-style missile, and this thing is one of the ones that you spend a lot of attention, a lot of effort making sure you outrange it. As you can see, it's not shooting at me if you do well, although it doesn't quite look like my range is touching. And if you have high enough damage on your UAVs and your upgrades, you can chain and take out the gate and stuff like that without receiving damage. Make sure you don't get too close to the gate because that does explode, leaving you with a pretty hefty repair bill. I'm going to creep up forward on this ship slowly, grab a few shots at it, and kill it. Didn't get a shot off at me there, and the drone was able to be exploded because I ran away from that. Just ignore these other few targets for now here, those turrets that are shrouded. You have to kill this top building at the very top here before they unshroud, and slowly sneak up on the sort of rumbler turret is what I would call it there in that case. And that's going to go down pretty easily. Again, you can outrange this, but if you get too close to it, you're going to have a very, very bad time. Notice that the new target does not necessarily have any mechanics that seem to rely on the chain count being upgraded, at least not yet at this point here. You'll also notice that I have one UAV flying out in front of everything else. That's because that is the flagship UAV, and it is a higher projectile speed because the flagship is my countermeasure ship in most cases. Actually, it's not my countermeasure ship, it's just something else. I'll show you the build at the end anyways. If I did have another chain count there, I probably would have got this gate. That doesn't really matter because, again, you can outrange those. Don't get too close to them because they do explode right here, as you'll see with this big red ring here. Let's go ahead and get the right side of the target here, or the left side rather here. I'm going to drop down and kill the things that I can probably outrange. In fact, this gate is that first one. You want to get that. That should chain onto a few other things here. You can even come back and get this cluster later, which I'm going to do, so I can use the chaining to my advantage here. Otherwise, that Archimedes missile is probably going to hit me if I engage this little missile right here. I want to actually stick up and get something off the diagonal, which will be slightly further away. Alright. Chaining out that top cluster, and the ship is the next thing I'm going to target here. It is moving across the screen here. Just want to make sure you get the very edge here. It does sometimes get some damage off on you, especially if you are in the slow field, but that's fine. It's not going to be too much, especially if you are moving. The ship is down and the drone is down, and now might be a good time to mention this is actually my first time hitting this target, and I haven't taken damage so far, so we'll see how well that lasts. See if we can grab this turret again here, just barely touch the range. I wish that this was a little bit easier to do. It's a little bit tricky. You get really, really close. Archimedes missile turret right here is the next thing that needs to go down that is shooting at me, and you can't really avoid the damage. It's just luck-based in terms of evading countermeasures and such, so you do have to be kind of lucky there. Let's get these bombards right here, and by the way, these things actually will shoot you if you get too close to them. I learned that the hard way there, or you could read Kixeye's strategy guide, whichever you prefer. Killing this top cluster right here, and once that is down, I can move forward and hit the shrouded or the controller building, whatever you want to call it. Once I hit this, the shrouds are going to pop, which is fantastic. I'll even start running away in preparation for that. Kill this one Vulcan turret, Vulcan mortar on the top right, Apocalypse mortar, whatever it is. Get the one on the bottom here and run back toward these little platforms. Now, what I was mentioning with these platforms is that you want to make sure you come at them from an angle, 45 degrees worth, so you can actually chain onto the Archimedes turret right here. If you just hit that closer turret, in my view, it's much more likely you're going to end up getting hit, so I just stay away from there, which is why I'm coming back for them later rather than killing them earlier. Now is a good time to mention that I'll probably just be autoing FM targets, not necessarily driving them, but it is kind of fun to drive it once and see just how low damage you can get on the target. Again, coming in at a 45-degree angle so that Archimedes turret doesn't get me here. One ship and one building left. You could do some creative stuff with chaining off the building to get the ship. I'm not going to worry about that and just hope I can manage to chain or outrange, outmaneuver, outdrive the ship just by itself here. The corners can be a good time to hit it if you do know it's pathing well enough here. If not, looks like I got a little bit of damage right there, which is a little bit annoying. So there I go talking about how I'm going to do it for almost no damage, and it was actually pretty close. That's the target. Let's go ahead and check the damage, the battle report, as well as the build. Looking at the damage here, it's pretty close, actually almost identical in terms of explosive and penetrative, the sum of the resisted and damaged portion. I do have split armors on my fleet for 9 minutes and 10 seconds damage. As I was mentioning, I do have one anti-ship, which is the one shown right here. One MDS-3 is all you need on the entire fleet. I will fight you about this one forever here. And then I do have 5 gales, 6 gales, because just 5 gales, why not? And then 2 missiles, UAVs, because you can't go fewer than 2. Now the flagship here is just the standard build, same as everything else. Notice it did drop the new Bloodclaw Scattergun Shard, the limited weapon. May be useful for me to hit because it didn't really pick those up in the raid. I didn't find a limited weapon to be that exciting in this case. And there is the build update for my battle carriers right there. Nothing too exciting. They're still U1 for one ship, and then the others are up to U2, using the standard normal UAV, but the specials did change a little bit since the last thing that I posted here. I'm now using the best engine for this one, although you will notice that my countermeasure one still has the standard stratagem engine, which has this standard build on there, or whatever it is. I will put the hash codes for these builds in a Google Doc linked in the description. You can go ahead and check those out. That document, as well as these videos, is supported by the names you see on screen now. These folks are helping to support the channel, making these Battle Pirates videos possible. With that said, and until next time, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.